Right, hello there everyone, welcome back to James Redmond TV and welcome to another Redmond Roundup, live Redmond Roundup. If you want to see a Newcastle preview and me talking about the Newcastle game, then go and check out earlier on's Redmond Roundup. Shout out to everyone who's in the chat as always, everyone who makes these streams. It massively appreciate all the support as always, and we've got a lot of things to talk about and delve right into. A few people already mentioning a few rumours like the Kanate a done deal. That's not a done deal yet, by the way, people. Just before I delve into anything about Perez, Kanate to Liverpool is not a done deal, and it's not even looking likely at this very second. There's still rumours, still reports, but I'm not too sure, so I wouldn't say that's a done deal for those who are trying to leech onto that. But basically, as I mentioned before, there is many quotes, many things coming out about different formats of the Champions League. They're thinking about changing the Premier League into an English Super League. So we're going to talk about all of this. Celtic and Rangers could end up in England. Shit's going down. In the words of Kevin Hart, shit is going down, motherfucker. He never said that. He said shit is about to go down. Except right now, it's going down. We're in that process. So, it's a bit mad. I think we kind of just all thought the other day when, the clubs all joined out and stuff like that. I feel like we all just kind of thought, yeah, this is done. We're sound. Like, at the end of the day, we've killed the Super League. Perez, he's going to find all the clubs. He's going to get his dough that way. And then, boom, we're going to just live on with our lives. That's just not the case. And that's why I feel like a lot of us YouTubers and whatnot, we've been pushing the motive of we need to get these owners out. And it's not just YouTubers. This is fans of all clubs. You saw Twitter. If you're on Twitter or if you're on Instagram, you saw the uproar it caused, and you know that this is something that cannot happen unless it is re-evaluated in a big way. And this is something that's been lied to us for years. People lie by the people who so self-proclaim that they care about how we feel and how we think, and our opinion matters, and every individual matters on who supports the club. Bullshit. All bullshit. Basically, without rambling on and getting too much into a rant, I want to just say these quotes that Romano put on his Twitter yesterday. So basically, the first thing that he said was, he was basically asked about what is he the president of, and he said president of Real Madrid and of the Super League. So that's like a question he was asking himself, and he went, no, president of Real Madrid is just fine. Then he went on to say, I'm really sad and disappointed. Maybe we didn't explain the Super League project properly. This is Perez himself. So he is still, even after seeing all of Twitter, even after seeing he doesn't look at Twitter, but even after seeing all of the uproar it's caused everywhere, the protests, not only in England, but we're talking about Italy, we're talking about Spain, we're talking about various different places where this is being talked about on a high scale, and it's not wanted in any matter, and he's still persistent. And that's the one thing I actually don't mind about Florentino Perez. He's very persistent. And it's not that I don't mind it fucking annoys me, but I admire persistency in someone who feels like themselves that what they're saying is genuinely true. And I really, is where it could be an issue. Is what he's saying, does he believe it to be true? Does he believe it to be better? Or is it just for his pocket? We all know the answer. So that's when we've got to start questioning him as a football fan, when he keeps up with this persistency. So respect isn't the right word, admire probably isn't even the right word, but you get what I'm trying to say. Anyway, he proceeded to go on and say, I think one of the 6 Premier League clubs weren't really convinced of the project. Bear in mind, this was just last night, people, so this was supposed to be a done deal, and then for him to say, only one of the 6 Premier League clubs, I'd be very interested in the live chat. Who do you think that club was? Because apparently there was only one of the 6 who actually weren't too keen on the project. If I'm guessing anyone, I'm saying Man City. Because they've got a country backing them, and at the end of the day, they don't need dough. Every other club needs dough. Barca needs dough. Real Madrid needs dough. Liverpool needs dough. Friggin' Man United needs dough. They're in debt, so why are they need dough? Tottenham, they believe he always needs dough. So let's just get it real. It's probably City, and everyone seems to agree with me in the chat. City just went, nah, fuck this business, because they don't need it. And they even said it during the Super League, by the way, that their number one concern isn't for the wider good of football. Financial reasons is their priority. They said this, not Perez, but some other knobhead said this who's associated with Perez. So we know it was City. It's not, to be fair, now that I've just said it out loud, it's one of them. We know it was them. Anyway, he then said, if this project didn't work, another one will. Remember, all the 12 clubs have signed a binding contract. So that's where I kind of want to finish it with the Perez quotes. He is very keen on keeping this up. He is not someone who's just going to go down lightly. You know, many people are saying it. We've won a battle that has still got a long way to go, and it's got a long way to go because I feel like the minute this battle ends is when we get these owners out of our clubs, when we get, so we are, in our instance, Liverpool and FSG. I've just actually done a video on the members. For anyone who's a member of the channel, there's a video right now. So if you want to go and check that out, by all means. If you want to become a member, click the top link in the description. I've just done a video talking about the 3 biggest mistakes that FSG have made. And these weren't just little minor mistakes. 3 massive mistakes that FSG have made since joining the club. And the reason why I done it was to put on some perspective, because I've been kind of hearing from newer Liverpool fans, or fans that might not be as invested into football at all times, that this is the first mistake that FSG have done. I've never heard such a big bowl of bollocks in my life, mate, because let me tell you now, it's not just the first thing. I don't want to give away the video I've just done, but they've done many things. Yous all know it. Yous know what they've done. There's many situations where they've shown their only main significant thing that they care about is greed, and that is what the Glazers have displayed. That is what Abramovich on many occasions has displayed, but he's getting away with it because he's doing well, type of thing. But then you've got Man City, they're the only one who are really in the good books, but they still signed on. Listen, people, we've still got Chelsea signed on to this. We've still got talking about Chelsea and City. It's the fans who botched this. The Chelsea fans who went through a protest sorted this out. Did you hear the quote that Perez said about there was 40 fans who turned up to the Chelsea People, we are dealing with someone who does not give a fuck. Florentino Perez will go to this for the remaining weeks that he's probably got left on earth, mate, because he's about 105, and at the end of the day, till that day comes, he will be talking as if he's some messiah, because he is in a situation with Real Madrid. He needs money. He's in debt, and it's a lot of debt as well. So when you want to keep he wants to turn Real Madrid into a franchise, and then once he's got them into a franchise, then it changes the game in terms of all the worries that he has. All the worries about relegation, all the worries about getting worse, they don't have to care. That's why the Glazers signed up for it. That's why FSG signed up for it. It would have been marketed to them as it's a no-brainer. What you do here, it's not, when do you join it? You join right now and you get on this process. This is, from a businessman point of view, put yourself in their shoes. You don't care about football. And in their shoes, you don't care about football. And I thought Perez, even though he's a knobhead, I still thought he would have known a little bit. The odd bit with the amount of time he's been in the game, the level he's been at. You just know he's not educated in any way, shape or form, saying things like 16 to 24-year-olds are not into the sport, when that is actually probably the biggest majority of audience when it comes to watching football. Maybe I'm lying, maybe it's older, I don't know. But to say that a younger generation isn't into football, when, at least in my surroundings, that seems to be all we fucking talk about, especially more so than any other sport, then you are wrong there. And I'm just going to take a guess, it's like that in other countries as well. They love football. So that was the first thing I wanted to get out the way, because this is a battle that's not over, people. And it's the same with FSG. That apology video, like I said, I talked about it on this morning's Redmond roundup, so I won't get too into it. But that apology video is simply a stint. Did you see them people on Twitter as well, by the way? I don't know, let me know, chat, if you did see this. But I'm curious to know. There was people calling out what FSG were they were trying to signify things in that apology video. So, for example, John Henry was wearing a Gillette jacket, which was signifying a remember who owned the club before we bought you. Remember the state that you was in before we took over. And there was another thing where he had something yellow in the background which signifies friggin' forgiveness or something, or that's the colour of forgiveness. Loads of absolute arse, mate. I literally just let out a number 2 of what I've just said before I came on this stream, because I don't look into that shit. But it wouldn't surprise me, if these upper class dickheads genuinely thought, you know what, lads? Yeah, man, this is going to work. Because anything now, anything that I can do, the video will work. Because no one else has done a video. So let me get that out there. Thing is, though, it was too late for one. And You've lied, even if it was like done in the best possible way. You've lied to us. So what do we now do to take that back? That's the question we've all got to ask as fans. The yellow flowers, that is it. Jason, that is what it was. It was the yellow flowers that he put in the background. He was also wearing a Gillette coat as well. What do you think about Salah not playing and coming on late against Leeds? I've talked about the Leeds game, Noah, in one of my latest videos, so make sure that you go and check that out. Shout out to DJC, who's in the chat. The video just looks forced. That's another thing. You've got to talk about sincerity when it comes to these things, and he's not sincere. He's sorry he got caught, and he's sorry that it didn't go his way. That's what he's sorry about. And even Perez knows this now. Perez knows that all these clubs just bottled it. Man City were probably the first ones to really pull out. Chelsea were there because the fans did. And then all the other ones just shit themselves before it started hitting Shit's Creek for them. So it's not sincere. And you've got to look at sincerity behind it. There's not enough. Yeah, man, it's a proper devastating thing. Even what Omar says here, I don't know if this is true, but Omar says Real Madrid £900 million in debt. Manchester United £455 million in net debt. And then Barcelona is £1 billion in debt. People, I don't think you quite understand when it comes to football. You know, I understand there's a lot of money going on and going round, and there's a lot of money in football, but you have to understand that's serious. Like, for anyone, I don't care how much money you've got, to be in £1 billion debt, £900 million debt, that's a fucking problemo, no matter who you are. And I feel like people look at them figures and think, oh, well, they bought Coutinho for 100 million. Do you know how much, like, that's why it's shit that it's not worked out, because that was a big risk. Buying players like Dembele, I'm talking about Barcelona, because they've got some of the biggest reasons to this going wrong, and £1 billion in debt. You don't want it, that's the one thing we can credit FSG, you know, for all the shitness that they do, and for how dodgy that they are. The one thing I will give them is that they've got the club running in a stable manner based on the fact that they haven't got us in debt. They haven't gone overboard in any sort of circumstance, but I feel like they've gone much underboard, and they just haven't been blatant with the fans, and that's what I don't like. That's my number one issue. And also, they don't care about the benefit of what the club means. They care about what turning the club into something else. So, but again, I explained all that in earlier's video. Simon says, James, protests and boycotts won't get rid of the owners, and there is no laws to force them out, and government has no power to force them out. So reality is, unless someone pays the owners the billions to buy, that's a fact as well. But the thing is, though, we've realised, and this is where I'm going to kind of counter something that you've just said, Simon. Legally, I get it, but legally, 48 to 72 hours ago, a Super League was full force ahead, ready to go in August. That is now being delayed, and even Perez and his smug ass can't do nothing about it because of the backlash. We've realised what we can do when we don't just make noise, but when we make a fucking racket. And I mean, we go out there and we just cause shit. And I don't mean hooligans, fuck that business. I mean taking back what was yours in the first place. Your granddads, your great-granddads, they were the ones who grew up with this club. We grew up with this club. They never grew up with this club. The Glazers didn't grow up with Man United. FSG didn't grow up with fucking Liverpool. We now saw when the fans come together, and this is why it'd be great, and I said this on my Twitter the other day, it would be fucking marvellous if fans could come together more often on the basis that we saw, you know, for things like racism, inequality, stuff like that. When you talk about, if we united just a little bit more, then you never know, we might get further with things, because in just 2 days, we got them motherfuckers shook. No matter how much dough you've got, you can get them shook. Perez is shook. Perez didn't even want to get to this position. Perez is in a position now where he's looking at the other clubs, except Spurs, who are more than happy to be there. You know, I'm just happy to be here. One of them ones. That's what Spurs are doing. But I mean, other than that, he's looking at the other 5 thinking, shit, you've just all left, boys. What are you chatting? So, it's backfired. They didn't realise, they weren't prepared for the level of outroar that ended up coming their way. And that's what's sick, because now I know, because I've saw it, we can beat them. There's no doubt about it. But shout out to Mayank for the super chat. Really appreciate it, my friend. Perez Perez is an anaconda, big snake, you get me. But yeah, man, Simon says, yes, James, Man United have been in debt for 16 years. That's how it hurts the club, and the club was used to get the loan. It was used to get the loan to pay old shareholders, and they refinance it every season. Man United have had problems for a long fucking time, man. And as it turns out, a lot of these clubs are doing it because they know things like not getting relegated and removing the element of competition and having that element of guarantee that you're in that league. They know it sorts them out with money, and that's not what the sport was built on at the end of the day. That's where I always draw the line of what this Super League is. I am all for an improved Champions League. I am all for an improved system in English football, if you will. But at the end of the day, there's a good decision and there's a bad choice. That was a bad choice to go with. The time was terrible. Just all the thinking behind it, like, you just couldn't have been more wrong. But on the topic of Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues, as you know by the title, there is obviously big talks being released this morning, well, actually yesterday as well, about a new proposed British Super League. So basically, this is what they're saying. Apparently, this is the format of how it would go. There will be, instead of 20 teams that is right now currently in the Premier League, that would be reduced to 18 teams. Basically, this will consist of 16 Prem teams and include Rangers and Celtic. So you're removing 4 Premier League teams from the current system and you're adding Rangers and Celtic, basically. The top 4 teams will then go into a end of the season playoff. The way this works will be first versus fourth, and then second versus third. So this proposed British Super League, for those who didn't quite get that, it's being reduced from 20 teams to 18. 4 Premier League teams are being removed. Rangers and Celtic are to be included. The top 4 teams, so the top 4, will go into a playoff. The winner of that playoff will win the league. So say if Liverpool, right, last season, when we legged it with the league, 20, however many points clear, if we won that league, we would have still... Oh, no, say if we won that league and then we would have had to play 4th place. So let's say that would have been, I don't know, Chelsea. And they beat us. They would win the league, even though we finished 20 points clear. That's basically what they're saying when they're talking about playoffs. Now, here's the thing. I don't mind change. I am up for change. But this is where I've got just quite a problem, and people saying, where is this information coming from? Numerous sources that I've been seeing all over Twitter talking about that they're thinking about the idea of a new Super League. So this is not confirmed. They're just fiddling about with what they can do, and this is where we need to remember, no one is the main man here. No one is good in this situation. The Premier League isn't good. The UEFA isn't good. The reason why we've got to maintain our focus on the Super League, the European Super League, is based on the fact that once we start drawing attention to other things, we lose focus on that. So don't be caught up too much into it. Bear in mind as well, even this proposed Champions League, that's not supposed to be set till 24-25 season. So focus on that when that cookie crumbles. But just talking on this idea of the British Super League, I don't mind us mixing with Rangers and Celtic. I've actually wanted that for years. I feel like that'd be rather exciting in many, many aspects. But I don't know if you're replacing the Premier League for a British Super League like that. I don't know if that's the format. But let me propose this to you. How about fuck that Carabao Cup off? Fuck that, because no one cares about it. It's really one that you start your B team, and like at the end of the day, mate, there's no proper significance to the Carabao Cup. Scrap that. Call it, what is it called? The British Super League if you want, or the British Super Cup, let's call it that. Have a similar format. Get Celtic and Rangers included. Keep the Championship teams included. But just, like, why are you changing what's not broke? There's a good choice and a bad choice, and I don't know if that's a good choice. So, again, people, let me know what you think about that format. And then before we do round up this live Redmond roundup, shout out to everyone who's been here as well. I've got to talk about this Champions League format. So basically, what they're deciding to do is, instead of the current 32 teams, they're changing it to 36. The new spots will be for elite clubs that fail to qualify, i.e. Manchester United, Juventus if they weren't to qualify, these type of teams. One league instead of groups. So basically, they're just chatting on what we've just sorted out. So what we've just said no to, UEFA now want to propose this. But bear in mind, though, 24-25, so we worry about it then. We protest about it then. Not now, but still, though, I'm just bringing it to you in case you haven't seen this. Best 8, so the top 8 to reach the knockout. So the top 8 of the league will then go into a knockout system, right? Other teams to qualify through new rounds of playoffs. Other teams to qualify through new rounds of playoffs. I don't know what that means. Qualify through new rounds of playoffs. Oh, so basically the teams will then have to go into a playoffs, go through that, and then every club will be guaranteed at least 10 games, which will increase revenue in that situation. Mate, they're thinking about making some mad change. They've basically just looked at the Super League, gone, yeah man, that'd be sick, and just whacked a date on it for in a few years' time. I don't know if that's the way to do it. Again, a new Champions League format. I don't hate it. I'm not against it in the slightest. But it's also not what I feel is super necessary in this case scenario. So I don't know, man. Let me know what you think. But George says Cardiff, Swansea, Wrexham and Newport play in English League, so I see no reason why Celtic and Rangers can't be in the Prem. Exactly. That's one thing that I've always said. If you're seeing these type of teams that are involved competing in these competitions, then why can't we get Celtic and Rangers in on the action? Even if it is for the League Cup. And if anything, if that's the only competition Rangers and Celtic could compete in, then even though it doesn't add the extra ultimate element of competition, it still adds an element of competition where you've got more big fixtures, you've got more people tuning in, you've got more chance of a big fixture. Celtic versus anyone, you're going to get loads of viewers, so I think that would be a better way forward, and no one tunes into the Carabao Cup unless it's your team watching, really. So that's the way I think of it. If Rangers and Celtic were in the Prem and given a higher budget, they wouldn't struggle. Massive attractive teams that big names would sign for, arguably over massive English teams. That's a very good point. Shout out to Amy as well, by the way. That's a very good point from Amy. That's something that we need to bring up as well. With time, who's to say that Celtic and Rangers can't become a major brand in these leagues and then they overtake these teams like Man... I don't think they'd overtake Man United if I was to make a prediction. But who's to say it's not possible? They're already bigger than like Tottenham. And you look at what Tottenham are doing right now. So it's certainly up for a possibility. You know, some people would even say bring them into the FA Cup. Why not? I'm up for open things. Believe me, like people think... Just because I'm saying no to this Super League means I'm not open to change. I'm open to change. I love a bit of change. Listen, bit of change for me, baby. Do you know what? Like, everyone's got to change every once in a while. You can't be a dinosaur for the whole of your life, but you're trying to change too much at once, and that's not what I'm a fan of. I wouldn't want Celtic in the Prem because it would break my heart seeing Tierney playing against us. Black Wolf says, Tierney's injured right now. They've got Xhaka playing left back, don't they, Arsenal? So it is what it is. Ben Jones, I love you too, my mate. Shout out to yourself, brother. James from Sky Sports, one big six owner, wants to sell, hoping it's PSG. Oh, FSG. I thought that said PSG. I was going to be like, well, I don't think PSG are in the big six in their league. They're kind of just the big one. I've also heard this myself. So for those who don't know, there is reports going around that one of the big six clubs wants to sell on. If I was to make it a guess, and let me know who you think that club is Man United a shout? With the Glazers, the amount of debt they're in, I'm sure they'd love to just fuck all that off. Some people are saying they think it's Arsenal, they think it's Kroenke. I think Arsenal are going to need to do a big push to get Kroenke out. I don't think Kroenke wants to go. I think he needs to be pushed. There's a mixture between Arsenal and United here. It's actually very split as well between the chat. If it was my guess, I'd say United. Here's why. We saw the debt numbers before. I actually am not clued up on whether Kroenke is in debt at the moment. I know he hasn't been doing things the cleanest way. But Manchester United are in big debt, as mentioned before, for about 15 years or so. Now they're in a point where they're actually getting pressure from the fans. And fans are planning protests. So I think if there is one team that have actually got shook from this, and it's not even anything to do with Ed Woodward leaving the club. That was going to happen anyway. Even without that, I think it's the Glazers. I'm not going to lie to you. I think number one team that wouldn't mind getting just a bit of dough in for that asset is Manchester United. And what they wanted to do was get in this Super League, get that asset increased, sell them on, and then boom, Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, and we move on with our lives. But I'm not too sure. The EFA and SFA won't allow Celtic and Rangers to join, and the Scottish Government will stop them due to the rules in Scottish football. Now, without trying to get too much into politics, Simon, I also read that Boris Johnson would be someone who would sign off this British Super League. So I don't, like, obviously when you start talking about governments, it can get a bit messy, and I'm sure the Scottish government would do a lot they could to make sure Celtic and Rangers don't get involved. That being said, when you talk about Boris Johnson, if he's getting involved as well, then it can go either way. And if it's for a new competition, this English Super Cup or English Super League, then I feel like that's probably the approach they'll take. I am a huge Rangers fan. I think we could beat some of the top teams if we had more money. We would get top players, especially with Stevie G as manager. Listen, he's going to be our manager soon, so hands off, yeah. Nah, I'm messing. But as I said before, who's to say Rangers or Celtic couldn't come into the Premier League, couldn't make a big impact? They could. They've got the name, they've got the brand. There's big players outside of Europe who would love to play for them teams. Bear in mind, the only reason why big players won't join them at the moment is the league they're in. It's not very competitive. If you win it, it's not really that big of an achievement. It's only massive now because Celtic have won it for so many years. Rangers have came back and won it, but still though, there's not that huge attraction to go to any of them. They don't usually do well in the Champions League. So if they were to come to the Prem and have that opportunity of just playing against some of the biggest English sides, not even the Prem, I'm talking about just England, they could play England sides, even if it was in a cup. That brings another element of attraction to players outside of UK. I keep saying Europe, outside of the UK. So, Nialdinho says, don't want to sound soppy, but thanks, James. I spoke to my GCSE stress and I thought, he's right, lads. I sort you out. Love it, my mate. I'm glad that I could do what I could today to contribute to that. But no, people get all your thoughts in. I'm looking on rounding the stream up in a sec. But before I do go, I do want to let you know about a video that I've just uploaded. For anyone that is a member, you don't have to be a member, but just in case you want more content, there is now a video out on my channel. FSG, biggest mistakes at Liverpool. Let's see if I can get that in. Boom, there it is. FSG, biggest mistakes at Liverpool. If you would like to see that, then click the link in the description down below to become a member. And then, yeah, boom, you can go ahead, check that out. Shout out to everyone who is a member at the moment. It goes a long way to support the channel. But for those who isn't a member, don't worry, no content is being taken away. I'm actually only doing more, so you don't have to become a member. Simply a like and a subscribe does it all the world of good. But right, just stop talking out your ass, Redmond. Listen, if I want to ramble, I'll fucking ramble. Stop talking out your ass. You stop talking out your ass. You get in this seat and talk to yourself. My friends, with no editing. I need to get used to the live stream, so fuck off. Why are you spamming, lads? Why are you spamming? I think this is a time. I'm starting to lose my course now, but I actually want to read a few more comments. So, Lat just says, I agree with what you're saying. I have grown up watching Rangers and any other team. Chelsea, I would love to have Rangers and Celtic in the Prem. EFC Toffee says, sounds like you want to make up your own league, James. James out. No. I don't want to make up my own league. I'm happy with the system the way it is. I'm just not against a new and improved system, because I know the one that we've got at the moment isn't perfect. So for me to sit here and be like, no, because I'm happy about this system, let's just not even think about improving it, that's also not the right way. But when I say making an own league, I don't mean that. I'm trying to save the Prem and then do something separate to the point where Celtic and Rangers can still be included. We can still make it a bigger deal. We can call it the British Super Cup instead of this Carabao Cup, and then boom, more dough. And it also has more significance. That's all I care about. I care about the element of competition, the element of significance, but also not taking away the true values of football. And even though some people will say them values went years ago, just the things like a match day, I don't want that to go, and doing things like Super Leagues, that takes that away, in my opinion. But that's just me though, people. You don't have to agree. That's absolutely fine. But that's what this channel is for. Shout out to everyone who came in. Do you have Tekken? All day I have Tekken, mate. Don't even start. What's your name? May H. Don't even start with my techers. I'll have to do a video showing you all my techers, because it's too techy to be dead honest with you. So we'll save that for another day. But anyway, people, I'm going to get off. I hope you all have a belter day and night, wherever you may be. And yeah, I'll see you all later. Peace out. Oh, and like and subscribe for fuck's sake if you haven't already.